the Africa Cloud Exchange is what we will be presenting today. And essentially, you've seen this diagram, Sarah and Vince have touched on this. If you are using Microsoft Azure's direct express route service, then you would have your network and you would have an interconnection with Teraco at the Africa Cloud Exchange, and you essentially then would be provisioning a virtual circuit over the express route to have access to workloads or services that are hosted on Microsoft's infrastructure. And what we have done is, as Vince mentioned, once you receive your S key, you would then liaise with the Teraco team in order for your virtual circuit to be provisioned. And there's some information that the Teraco team would need from you. And we've taken that process and we've automated it, allowing you to interact seamlessly with a platform that's not only API centric, but also has a user interface. And the platform handles questions or aspects relating to billing, such as the invoicing for the services that you purchase. And it has workflows that allow the automation of the service provisioning on the network, as well as with the CRM systems that are involved. And of course, it also allows notifications to be sent so that you know what's happening on the services that you have with Teraco. Very important, of course, is authentication, not just authentication, but authorization and access as well. So we, in other words, the APIs are secure, your logins and your credentials are also secure. So each transaction is actually managed in a secure manner. So that's my quick presentation. And I prefer to do the showing and less of the talking. So I'm handing over to Zukiswa to give you some further information. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Let me share my screen on my side. Hello, everyone. It's good to have you all, and I think we've learned so much today. What I'll do, I'll just touch briefly on Africa Cloud Exchange to explain what the product is about. Before I start, let me introduce myself. So my name is Zukiswa Njamini. I'm a development manager, look after Africa Cloud Exchange solution. And I'm sure everyone is wondering, where does this solution fit in? I mean, to what has been shared. Thanks, Tony, you've already touched on it briefly. Just to give you an overview, just let me know, guys, if you can see my PowerPoint.
Yes, we can.
Okay, cool, awesome. Just to give you guys a high-level overview of Africa Cloud Exchange, as you all know, and I think Vince also mentioned this, there are many ways to connect to the cloud providers. You know, I mean, one of the requirements is to start looking at your cloud journey. And I suppose when you start defining your cloud journey, you start looking at your bandwidth requirements, your security requirements, which workloads you wanna migrate over to, to Microsoft, in this case, Express Route. So while you're busy defining that, it's also important to understand the connectivity types. So basically, Africa Cloud Exchange gives you that connectivity to Express Route. And one of the key things that we do, we offer a private connection. And this private connection is to connect you to the cloud providers, such as Microsoft Express Route. And the key around this, you obviously get access, and your traffic never touches the internet at all, so it remains private. And the other advantage, again, of Africa Cloud Exchange, you start looking at providing or activating virtual circuits to those multiple providers over a single physical connection. I'll just spend a little bit of time there to explain the physical connection. As we all know, for any connectivity, you require a layer 1 service, and that could be a cross connect from your switch to another device. In this case, it's a cross connect from your switches or router to our infrastructure, meaning Africa Cloud Exchange. Once we've established that, you also need to determine the port speed, for that specific cross connect. As you know, you would have defined your cloud journey, your bandwidth requirements, and so on, which happens outside this connectivity. Once you've defined that, you obviously need to know how much speed do you require from a physical layer. So from a Teraco point of view, we offer 1 gig, 10 gig, or 100 gig in terms of the port speed. And one of the things, obviously, we wanna try and do is to speed up the provisioning process. What I'll do, I'll quickly stop sharing and take you to our new portal, which is ACX. That's what Tony was explaining earlier on, just to show you how to turn up these circuits. But I saw there was a question earlier on asking, how do we activate circuit from an Azure portal? Let me pause right there because I want to show you how quick and easy it is to turn up these circuits from our side. You must just let me know if it's now displaying my browser. Can you guys see my portal? Okay. So let me start with the Azure portal. As Vince said earlier on, you would sign in, you go and search for Express Route. You click Express Route Circuits, that will load. If you already have existing circuits, those will load. But if you're planning to create a new one, there's an add button on top. You click add, it's gonna load. Let's just give it a few minutes while it's loading. It's very important to obviously, you have to select Teraco in this case, you know, Teraco North as your resource. And then the region, I'm gonna select South Africa North, and Vince already mentioned that. And then you give it a name. So I'll call it Tech Day Demo, that's my name. And then I click next. Okay, this part is important. So we are the express route provider. So you select that. Okay, and then you need to select the provider. So I'll search for Teraco on the list. The Teraco pops up, and then your peering location, you select your bandwidth requirements. Again, guys, this is important. Depending on your workloads or what you're planning to access, you know, on your express route, it's important to make sure that you select the correct bandwidth. You select the bandwidth, I'll leave it at standard, metered, and then create and review. So this will create the circuit from an Azure portal. What's important while it's busy creating the circuit, obviously it's gonna create, might take less than a minute, hopefully. I'll then copy the service key and take you to the Africa Cloud Exchange. So the portal, I'm just giving you guys a sneak preview. We're going live next month. This is just to let you know that the automation process is in place. It's gonna be a quick provisioning setup to do once, obviously, we go live. So while it's deploying the circuit, another thing to mention, obviously, when you start looking at Africa Cloud Exchange, you know, this is a platform that gives you access to these multiple cloud providers, and you can essentially have a single cross connect, but we always encourage clients to take 2 cross connects, obviously one being a primary, and then the other one being a secondary link. What you do with those cross connect, you can then have multiple virtual circuits to the different cloud providers, such as your Microsoft Express routes. Okay, so this is completed. Let me go back to resources. So the circuits that are just created will be listed, but let me copy this quickly. Oh, just one thing to note, as you can see, the current status is not provisioned. Obviously, you've just activated the circuit. As you can see there on top, it says contact or go to your service provider. In this case, it will be Teracom. So I'll copy the service key, go to the Africa Cloud Exchange. In terms of login details, like Tony mentioned earlier on, as soon as you become part of Africa Cloud Exchange network or members, we will create your login details and only you can access the platform. This will be the page if you want to activate the circuit to Microsoft Express Route. We give you a high-level overview of where you can activate the circuit. That's Teraco Isando or Teraco in Cape Town, Rondebosch, okay? And then you click the activate button, activate now. Here, you can give it a description. We obviously ask you to make it unique to you as you know what service this is for. And then here, this is where you'll copy the service key. But before I paste the service key I created, let me pick one of the existing service keys. Again, this is important. If you have more than one interface, you need to make sure that you select the correct interface, and the system will also give you an option to select multiple interface. And the reason for that is to make sure that our system pushes the configuration to the correct interface on our switching fabric. I will select an existing VLAN. I just want you guys to see that we do validation in the background. When you click submit, It gives you an overview of the terms and conditions, when you can cancel the service. And of course, this is a paid service. It goes on a month to month as well. The minute you accept, it's gonna do the validation. Woo, now we know. VLAN 314, it's already in use, meaning that this won't allow you to proceed. We also suggest VLANs that are available for you to use. So you can maybe select 1078, and then let me paste the service key and click submit. That should then, if I accept here, it will then provision the circuit. The status will then change from our side to provision state, but let's give it a few minutes while it's busy provisioning. Obviously, this will replicate or push the changes to our Azure portal. As soon as this is completed, we'll just give it a few minutes, and then it should update the Azure portal as well with the circuit details. But guys, if you have any questions, about Africa Cloud Exchange, you can reach to us. Our email address is cloud@teraco.co.za. Would love to have meetings and then get into the details, the design as well. There you go. So the circuit from an ACX portal, it has been created. Again, in terms of our benefits, we said it's speedy provisioning. As you can see, guys, it took less than a minute from our side to provision the circuit, and it gives you the service key that you provided. The status shows provisioned. It also pulls the bandwidth. If you recall, we didn't provision the bandwidth, while I was doing this exercise. It pulls it directly from Azure, so it pulls our bandwidth as 50 megs. It tells you when this was created, and also billing is active. Should you decide to cancel for whatever reason, the cancellation button is here, but I won't be canceling the service. So this circuit will be loaded under public clouds. Here's the circuit. As obviously, you add more circuits, all of them will be loaded here. If you've deprovisioned the circuit, the status changes accordingly, but this is the one we've just created. Let me quickly go to the Azure portal to check if this has replicated. Express circuit, demo, I think it's this one, demo one. Yes, the status has changed to provisioned. That's about it for now. As I said, please do reach out to us at cloud@teraco.co.za.